Translation. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position.
So the aim of life is always being stressed by Krishna to stop this process of undergoing different changes of body. Janma mrityu jara mrত্যু. Na bhuya vijayati. In many places Krishna has said, Jadgatyana nivartante tadhyamo paramam mama. Tattadeham punarjanma naiti mameti kaunteya. This is the aim of life. But people are misled by the blind leaders. We can say rascal leaders, but it may be very strong language. Krishna has said, all persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, all such persons have been described as moodhas, rascals. Namang dushkitunam moodha prapadanti narado. Yes, chastise and use very strong words. Ajasra andhajoni. I push them to the darkest region of material existence. Actually, that is happening. People without God consciousness, without Krishna consciousness, gradually becoming entrapped in ignorance. Such important life, human form of life. Nobody is interested to know about the philosophy of life, value of life. They have become so frivolous. And this evening everyone is engaged in childish activities, but nobody is interested in the real problem of life. The real problem of life is stated, na bhuya abhijayati. And big leaders ask them, what is the real problem of life? They do not know. Andha jatha andhairupanyama. Nate vidu sarthagatim ki Vishnu. Durasaya je vahirarthaman. Who is talking this child? Durasaya. Expectation which will never be fulfilled. Never be fulfilled. They are trying to adjust things by so-called material adjustment. And that will not be. That's what is said, durasaya. Asaya means hope. And dura means never to be fulfilled. Far, far away. Durasaya. Without God consciousness, without stopping the process of birth and death, you cannot be happy. That is not possible. But they have become so foolish, they are thinking that this duration of life, say 50 years, 60 years, that's all. After this, big leaders, they say like that after death, there is no life. Everything is finished. Big professors, big learned scholars, they are of this opinion that after death there is no life. Everything is finished. And where from all these different forms of life come, they cannot answer. There are 8,400,000 forms of life. Where from they come? What is the purpose of so many forms of life? What is the purpose of life? What is the distinction between the form of human life and these lower grades of life, higher grades of life? No knowledge. No knowledge. Everyone is ignorant. Foolish. Therefore they have been addressed as Mudha, all rascals. If we say that this is a civilization of rascals, it is not very strong word. Actually they are rascals. They do not know the value of life and the real problem of life. Simply like animals, they are eating, sleeping, having sex life and dying. That's all. This is their life. So one has to learn. Therefore Krishna says, Jaivang Vetti Purusam Prakritim. We must learn what is this living entity. That also we do not know. Prakriti, this body is Prakriti, and the living force which is within the body, that is Purusha. And there are two kinds of Purushas, the living entity and the super soul, Paramatma, Atma and Paramatma. The Atma is creating his own field of activities. Paramatma is observing only what you are doing. These things we have already discussed. Upadrashtya, anumantya. The Paramatma Purusha is upadrashta, overseeing your activities. You want to do something, but without his permission you cannot do. Upadrashtya, anumantya, cha bhartya. He is the maintainer. Therefore, we must know, this is knowledge. This is knowledge. This body, Khetra, the owner of the body, Khetrajna, and the proprietor of the body, the Paramatma, the owner of the body. We have already discussed all these things, we should remember very nicely. That is real knowledge. Jnana, what is the process of knowledge? Amanittam, adammittam, khanti, arjamam, acharupasanam, bhakti yogam. To know the problems of life, this is knowledge. The aim of life, is not to take birth again. Who is understanding of this? Nobody is interested. Simply they are interested in the animalistic way of life. That's all, just like animals. But Bhagavan, Krishna says, that one should know this. Jaivang Vetti Purusang Prakritim cha Gunaya, and the qualities of the Prakriti, Satagun, Rajagun, Tamagun, Gunai Saha. Simply know the earth, water, air, fire. Just like modern scientists, they are trying to understand. Scientific laboratory means they are analytically studying earth, water, air, physical studies. Metaphysical, not metaphysical, physical studies. But they do not know that there are other things of the physical world. There is guna, trigunam vishaya veda, nistragunam bhavarya. How physical changes are taking place, how one physical element is valuable, one physical element is not valuable. That is due to a different interaction of the modes of material nature, guna, gunaisaha. So simply physical elementary study is not sufficient. You must know the gunaisha, how the quality are acting. Jayavang vetti purusang prakritim cha gunaisha sarvatha vartamanati. If you have got sufficient knowledge, the knowledge is there, the Bhagavad Gita. And simply we have to study. We have to take lessons from the Bhagavad Gita from the right person. Tad vijnanatham sa gurumeva vigachet srutiyam brahmanishtham. We must learn from a guru who is actually in knowledge of this Vedic literature, Sotriyam, Brahmanishtam. And what is the symptom of such knowledge? Brahmanishtam, firmly fixed up in Brahma. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Sabdati. To know Brahma means to know not only the impersonal Brahma Jyoti, but also Paramatma and Bhagavan. Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Sabdati. This is knowledge. So such person who has got sufficient knowledge, what is this Prakriti, material world, what is the Purusha, the living entity who is trying to enjoy this material world, and the Paramatma Purusha, another Purusha. Upadrishta Numanta cha Bhatta Bhukta Maheshwara Paramatmeti Chapi Upto. Dehinasmin Purusha Para. Those who have no knowledge, they cannot understand there are two Purushas. One is Apara and one is Para. Apara Purush is the living entity who is trying to enjoy this material world. But Para Purush is the Anubanta, guiding principle or order living. There are two Purushas, not one. One is inferior and other is superior. Superior Purusha is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself. Ishara sarvabhutanam hridesha arjuna tishthati. That is Purusha Para, an Apara. As there are Apara Prakriti and Para Prakriti. This material world is Apara Prakriti. But there is spiritual world also, that is called Para Prakriti. When there is such a statement in the Veda that the Supreme Spirit is Nirakar or without form, that does not mean he has no form. He has his form, but that is spiritual form, Satchidananda Vigraha. When it is negativity, that means the negative idea is of this inferior energy. So, these things we should know. And if you know, then the result will be sarvatha vartamanopi, wherever you stay. Sarvatha vartamanopi, you are mukta. As it is stated by Rupa Goswami, Iha jasya hare dasa, stop that talking. Iha jasya hare dasa, karmana manasa vacha, nikileshu api avasthasu, jivan mukta saucha. These states can be attained in the Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga means one who has understood everything very perfectly. Sometimes foolish people say the Bhakti Yoga is meant for the less intelligent class only. But he is less intelligent. Unless one is very, very intelligent, he cannot take to Krishna consciousness. Therefore Chaitanya Chaitamrita author says, Krishna je bhaje sevaro chotu. Unless one is very intelligent, he cannot become a devotee of Krishna. Because he knows everything. That is stated in Bhagavad Gita. Brahma bhuta prasannatma nasochati nakankati samas sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti labhate para. One who is actually devotee, para, parabhakti. He is already Brahma-bhuta, liberated, self-realized. Without being self-realized, nobody can attain unallied devotional platform. Bhakti means the platform where only liberated person can act. That is bhakti platform. Those who are always working for Krishna. Iha means desire. Just Harir Das, just to serve Krishna. He has no other business. Just like these boys and girls who have joined Krishna consciousness movement from Europe and America, they have no other business. They are simply engaged in executing Krishna consciousness. Iha jasya Harir Dasi. Karmana by working, manasa thinking, karmana manasa vacha by preaching, karmana manasa vacha, because we have got three things to act. We can act with our senses, karma. So karma, the karmis are also working, and the devotees are also working. But karmis are working, their words and mind is differently engaged. Because they are working very hard day and night, but they are thinking of manasa, sense gratification. Karmana, manasa, vacha. And they are talking only sense gratification. Therefore their mind and words are engaged differently. But one whose mind, words and activities are engaged in the service of the Lord, iha jasya Harir Das, karmana manusa vacha. So he may be situated in any position, jivan mukta saucha, he is liberated. The same thing is confirmed here. Sarvadha vartamanopi nasa bhuyo vijayat. Unless he is liberated, how he can stop his next birth? Here it is clearly said, na bhuya abhijayat. Abhijayat means to take birth again, to accept another material body. That unless you become liberated, mukta, you have to accept a material body. Mukti means to stop accepting this material body. That is called mukti, to remain in spiritual body. But they do not know even what is spiritual body, what is material body. Simply like cats and dogs, they are engaged in sense gratification, eating, sleeping, making. And this Bhagavad Gita is the ABCD, preliminary knowledge of spiritual understanding. People are unaware and misleaders. They give misinformation, malinterpretation. And there are so many people, they are very much proud. He has read Bhagavad Gita 100 times, but he does not know anything. He does not know anything. The difficulty is that the instruction of Bhagavad Gita they do not follow. The instruction of Bhagavad Gita is evam parampara praptam imam rajasaya vidu. One has to learn from the disciplic sattva. Tad vidhi panipatena pariprasnena sevaya. You have to learn from a person by full surrender. You cannot surrender to a third-class man unless one is very advanced. Naturally you will surrender. But this is the process. Unless you are prepared to surrender. Surrender means you approach somebody where your intelligence is nothing. Therefore you have to surrender. Tad vidhi panipatena pariprasnana seva. Seva and daya, there are two words. Seva is offered to the superior person. Seva, service. And daya is offered to an inferior person who is less than you. He requires your mercy, that is daya. But who is superior than you, who requires your service, that is called daya. This is the difference between seva and daya. But people do not know. They are trying to amalgamate daya and seva. No, daya to the inferior person. Just like a child. He requires your daya, the daya of the parents, mercy of the parents. But a guru, he requires your seva, surrender. So you have to approach seva, pranipan, surrender, seva, and then you can question. Don't question unnecessarily, waste your time, where you cannot surrender, where you cannot render your service. This is the process. That vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sivaya. Then you can derive some benefit from the realized person. Upadekshanti tad jnanam. Jnanina tattva darshan. Knowledge can be distributed by a person who has seen who has experienced seeing and hearing. These are the sources of gaining experience. So, the Shruti means hearing. And by hearing, you will see. By hearing about God, Krishna, ultimately you will see Him. When by hearing, you will develop your Krishna consciousness. Adu sadhya tato sadhu sangha. Hearing is possible by association with devotees, sadhu sangha. You cannot hear from the rascals. You have to hear from the superior person, one who is self-realized. Hearing. Satang prasangatma bija sangha bhavanti vitkarna rasayana katha. Satang prasanga. By association with superior devotees, that you can on the path of liberation. Sadhya bhakti rati anukamishyati. Then sadhya bhakti, attachment, rati, one by after another, one by after another. Yes. So this is the process. But the age is so, Kali-yuga is so fallen that people have lost all interest to understand the problem of life, how to solve them, how to attain to the platform of knowledge. They are not interested. Thank you very much.